Namaskar. In this episode of Dilse, we'll be talking to one of the greatest legal luminaries of this country, whose legacy will be remembered for years to come. Very few lawyers in this country have had the courage to speak truth to power, who always fought for the less privileged, who has always fought for justice, and have never hesitated to even tell the court when the court is going wrong, both on law and facts. A person who comes from Gujarat, comes to Delhi in 1985 and starts practicing in the Supreme Court. He became 3 times president of the Supreme Court Bar Association, became a senior advocate in 1998. His father was a judge of the Gujarat High Court, Justice Arvind Dave, and he has fought many a public causes which do us proud. Humble in his approach, authoritative in his convictions against bulldozer justice, stands up for minorities, and wants this country to become a power to be recognized and the judiciary to be independent, always rooting for the common man. That person is Dushyant Dave. Thank you very much, Dushyant.
Namaskar, Kapil ji. Thank you so much.
I just want to start by asking you, what was your early life like?
As a child,
Yes.
it was very interesting. I was fortunate to be born into a very liberal family. My parents, my father had very strong value system. He was very highly educated in Bombay at Elphinstone College, then Government Law College, then he did Advocate OS, practiced in Bombay, then became government pleader in Baroda, our hometown, and then went on to become district judge first and then High Court judge. So and my mother, extraordinarily religious, extremely devout Shivite, and very, very orthodox in many ways in her thoughts because she was not very highly educated, but yet extremely liberal with her children.
Okay.
So the upbringing was extremely liberal by both parents. I don't think we were ever reminded about studies or about doing our work. They knew that we would do whatever we had to do on our own, and so it was beautiful. I mean, journey took me and my twin sister. My other brothers, siblings were much older. So 2 of us were with our parents when my father became district judge. So we traveled from Baroda to Palanpur in Banaskantha district, then to Jamnagar, then to Nadiad, then to Ahmedabad.
Okay.
So
when did the family reach Ahmedabad?
We reached in Ahmedabad in 1970 when my father became High Court judge.
Okay.
And I was 16 at that point of time. So my college education was in Ahmedabad all through. I did commerce graduation and then did law. I started practicing in 78 in Ahmedabad in Gujarat High Court. And initially I joined Justice Majmudar, but he became High Court judge within 6 months. And then I was fortunate to be with Mr. Suresh Bhai Shelat, former Advocate General and one of the most respected lawyers. So as a child, it was very beautiful journey. I mean, we had very nice, friend circle at every places that I still remain in touch with those friends in these small places when I was young. And the club life was extremely important in life at that point of time. So we used to be very regular playing badminton, table tennis, and other things. And
And as a student in class, hardworking?
No, I mean, yes, I would say I was a very decent student. I didn't really enjoy studies a lot.
Not the revolutionary lawyer that you are.
No. I didn't do much mischief in classrooms, but
you didn't do mischief even in court. As you know.
but I enjoyed studies in my own pace,
Okay.
without any pressure from my parents and without any pressure from myself. But enjoyed it. I would say that I was a reasonably good student And but I had a lot of other extra interests, including reading.
Okay.
Even as a child, because I went to a Gujarati medium school, so I learned English much later when I was about 16 years of age.
Okay.
So I didn't really have, and even today I'm extremely uncomfortable with English grammar. I have never learned English as a language.
We don't get any sense of that. When you're arguing.
But so reading was my best companion. And I read a lot as a child also, and in college, of course, I must
Because you
have-
quote a lot of Ambedkar in many of your writings,
Yes.
as well as your when you argue in court, and so obviously you've
I enjoy.
Constituent
I enjoy.
Assembly debates you've read in your
Yes,
thoroughly.
absolutely. And college was, I mean, there is no literature that I didn't read, English literature, of course, but American writers, then some Hungarian writers, some French writers. So all kinds of writers.
So throughout your legal career, you were reading a lot, or were you too busy with the law?
No. Throughout legal career, I had a very, I would say, disciplined life. I didn't have money when I started practice. In fact, as perhaps the country has been told more than once, that my first, journey as a lawyer was to share an apartment with a High Court peon, Jilu Singh, who was appointed by my father. And he used to pay 150 rupees rent, and I used to pay 150 rupees rent.
Oh, I see.
That is how the journey started, because my father had retired and gone back to Baroda.
Okay.
And he didn't want me to be a lawyer. He wanted
Well,
me
what
to
did he
be a
want you
civil
to-
servant.
Oh, I see.
And he forced me to even...
That was a dream of many fathers at that point in time in the 70s.
But I must say, the person who really pushed me to become a lawyer, besides my own thinking, was Justice D.A. Desai, who
yes.
came to Supreme Court.
okay.
He was our neighbor, till 19...
Fine judge.
1976, 77. And he was very fond of me because we used to exchange novels.
Oh.
So, and he would always tell my father, he respected my father a lot. So he would say, Dave Sahib, this boy will become a lawyer. Don't worry about his future. He won't ask money from you. He'll be on his own. And I never asked money from my father the day I started practice.
So what made you shift to Delhi in the mid-1980s?
A dream, honestly, because by 78 to 84, I had developed a decent practice. I would say...
Now, you used to meet me, you used to come to Supreme
Yes,
Court and
and I have briefed you also.
Yes.
And I had, in the second generation of lawyers, I would say I was at the top in Gujarat in 6 years' time.
Okay.
And I had a very good, clientele, both from public sector undertakings of Gujarat, as also from the private sector, and a lot of individuals, of course, who I, teachers.
A lot of companies,
and,
Nirma, and many of them.
So teachers and many others. So I was reasonably okay. I, in fact, bought my first brand new Fiat. I still remember GAK 9999.
Oh, I see. There it is.
In 1984. It was a...
These are milestones in your life you
Yes,
never forget.
and then so by 84, then I had started coming to Delhi, as you saw. I had a lot of clientele outside Gujarat, including Aditya Birla Group. Then there was many companies in Rajasthan, spinning in Rajasthan, and Bilwara Group. Then in Delhi, Dabur, VAM Organic, which is Jubilant today, and many other companies. I started advising outside Gujarat. Especially in tax matters, excise customs in those days. Reliance also was one of my clients from 1983, I think. So that prompted me to think outside Gujarat. And of course, coming to Supreme Court was a dream that I had, in my my vision. And of course, I didn't know how to execute that dream because by 1986, when I came here, my bank balance was 5 lakhs.
Okay.
So it was not an easy journey, but I was determined. And by then, I found a good solution that if I come to Delhi and don't succeed, I must have some fallback. So I then floated a law firm, and Kamal Trivedi and Rakesh Gupta, they were both working with Mr. Sudhir Nanavati, a very prominent lawyer of Gujarat. They joined me. And Kamal Trivedi is now the Advocate General of Gujarat.
So that means in Gujarat you floated that.
Yes, in Gujarat. And that was a cushion for me. So that helped me a lot because there was some amount of work, some amount of financial, support which was guaranteed. Because most of the clientele in that firm was mine. I had a great goodwill which I was leaving behind to the firm. Office was also...
Your son, who is a lawyer, is now continuing in that firm?
No, my son is in Bombay. I did not I quit that firm long back, the day I became senior in 1994. And and then of course I came to Delhi. As you saw me progress, I didn't join anybody.
That's true.
But I had good work in Excise Tribunal initially, Company Law Board, MRTP Commission, as we used to be known earlier. So all that slowly gave a lot of confidence, then made entry into simultaneously in Supreme Court.
A lot of constitutional law matters, a lot of very important matters, and dethroning some chief ministers of states.
Yes, and it was I would say it was a tough decision. My parents were very upset that I took the decision to come here. My wife, of course, supported.
Luck always favors the brave, you know that.
Yes, and I definitely plunged into a very serious, risky enterprise to come to Supreme Court. But then I've been lucky.
But okay, so let's move from 1986 to 2025 July, when you hung your boots, so to say, and said, I'm not going to practice anymore. How was that journey from 86 to 2025? What were the changes that you saw in the institution in which you practiced?
See, the journey from 1986 has been very, interesting, and I was very fortunate to, observe the happenings in the country on the political spectrum. Simultaneously, the approach of the judiciary towards the citizens. And, even as a young government lawyer, for example, in Supreme Court defending government of Gujarat and some state governments, I found that many a times minority members were targeted under good old, laws which were very strict, like TADA and all.
Yes.
And I would invariably stand up and tell the court to release them. So, I realized that state was slowly and steadily increasing its hold on the citizens. And that shaped my, philosophy, my approach to law, and my desire to really help citizens when they are confronted with such challenges on the part of a, ever powerful state as it was growing, so powerful. So that, allowed me to, think about. Simultaneously, I was watching the judiciary, which was becoming, initially when I came here, as we all know, the judges in the 80s, 70s and 80s were ideological judges.
That's true.
They...
Including Desai.
Yes, so the ideology was substituted slowly by, I would say, by perhaps... I would say...
not so much political ideology.
No.
Like Dr. Justice Desai was very, very supportive of tenants. If there was a case of a tenant, he would always grant a protective order.
That's correct.
Yeah? That's fine. I mean, that's something in the attitude of the judge we accept. But slowly, what happened to the transformation?
See, the ideological ideology which was there, or ideological approach of the judges, be it Krishna Iyer, be it Bhagwati, be it D.A. Desai, was, was really to help a common man. And yes, you may not agree with their approach many times, when these judges would always stand up for a worker or a tenant or a teacher or a farmer. But then you have to understand that in a country as poor as India,
that's the right thing to do.
Yes. So it was not I would say, it was not a dishonest approach.
I agree.
It was a judicious approach, which was, I would say, commendable at that point of time, and that really shaped the jurisprudence of the Supreme Court in a big way. Slowly, what has happened is that judges have become increasingly, I would say, anti-citizens. And therefore, over the years, one is saying that, judges are not very sympathetic to a common man's, problems or challenges, legal challenges. And they try and, first they would try and look at the law objectively, apparently. But in that objectivity, I could see that judges were doing injustices to a common man. And now it has been completely transformed into being, totally pro-state and anti-citizen.
What's the genesis of that, according to you?
I think over the years, as I said earlier, the state becoming more and more powerful. And, with Mrs. Gandhi, after the 1980, when she came back, she was very powerful. Then, of course, later prime ministers were not so powerful. but somehow the judges, for whatever reasons, I can't understand why judges became so, pro-government over the years. Be it revenue matters, be it land acquisition. For example, as you have seen, my own feeling is that land acquisition laws have been a greatest disaster in this country, and they are a fraud on the constitution.
Why is that?
Because over the years I have been seeing that farmers' lands have been taken away, which are prime lands which they were tilling for generations, without really paying them the real compensation. The compensation which was fixed was to suit either the state for whom the acquisition was being made, or a industrialist for whom the acquisition was being made. And those figures of compensation were absolutely a minimal. And even to get that minimal amount, they were never market rate compensation, which should have been. And even to get that, the farmers had to fight for years. And in the process, lot of lawyers duped the farmers of their just dues. I know of lawyers in Gujarat who became very, very rich because they would take away percentage of compensation from farmers' dues.
There's a different kind of percentages that are taken away even today.
Yes.
Is that right?
So, yes, absolutely right. So, it became an extremely, I would say it became an extremely oppressive law. The whole purpose of acquiring the land for a public purpose got defeated because public was being cheated, public was being made to suffer. So over the years, these judges have become increasingly and supportive of whatever governmental action was, however right or wrong governmental election was. That somehow and there I feel that judges really over the decades have lost touch with the constitution as constitution was conceived by Dr. Ambedkar and his colleagues. And I must say that very few judges over, that I have seen in my 48 years of career, at least in last 30 years, have really understood what the constitution is and what it was supposed to be. And what is it the role of the state, what is the relationship between the state and the citizen, and what is the role of the judiciary over the executive and the parliament. That understanding is very, very poor with the judges in last 3 decades. And they have really not read the Constituent Assembly debates. Had they read them seriously and had they imbibed them, perhaps they would have feeling for the citizens, which unfortunately is not happening.
Okay, now is this, whatever you are saying, is this somehow related to the method of appointment of judges?
Undoubtedly it is to do with the method of appointment of judges. You see, my own take is that the second judge's case, the petition which was filed by Advocate on Record Association, was
where I happen to be a lawyer.
Yes, was
I regret.
Yes, I am so happy that you. I feel that really has changed the very complexion of the judiciary, and over the last.
But at that point in time, sorry to interrupt you, Dushyant. At that point in time, we as lawyers, Fali and I argued that case. We as lawyers felt that the executive was interfering too much in the process of appointment. And that this needs to change because we had a lot of appointments being made at that point in time. I was not in politics at that point in time as such. I was, but not really active. So that was the rationale for it. But I think we got into a worse situation after
Yes,
that.
You are right. My own feeling is that the executive did make some wrong appointments prior to 1990.
That's right.
But they were far and few. Far and few. Yes, there are serious, questions being raised about certain law ministers, as you and I both know. But at the same time, I would say that by and large, the Chief Justice's recommendations were fair in those days and were, well calibrated, well debated amongst the judges, and good appointments were being made. I can definitely vouch, and you will agree with me, that in 1978, when I started practice in the Gujarat High Court, it had impeccable judges. They were judges who were not just competent in law. They were people with great integrity. They were people with great courtesy, with great knowledge, and yet they, handled the court so beautifully, so enjoyably, that it was a treat to appear before them.
It's true.
Absolutely treat. Till I left in 1986, the Gujarat High Court was really an institution to be proud of.
Right.
And after that, of
and
course,
on
I lost.
reflection, the Gujarat High Court today?
Well, every lawyer who comes and meets me, smallest to the most successful, really speaks very poorly about the High Court.
That's also,
very poorly.
That's also true, because whenever a good lawyers meet me and I ask them this question, the answer is somewhat the same.
And that saddens us, because it's my parent High Court. So, coming back to your question, appointments, undoubtedly the collegium system which Supreme Court, found out for itself, has turned out to be a disaster. And as a result of that, we all know, for example, since 1995, how many Chief Justices of India we have had who have performed questionably. It may be some 20-25 of them. We, as Chief Justices of India, very questionable behavior. And therefore, and many judges we know, in the corridor, as I always say, that, ultimate barometer of a judge's, character and integrity is the corridor of a court. And corridor whispers are never incorrect. They are not, gossip. Those corridor whispers are actually, they stem from actual experience of the lawyers, which is shared within, canteen or in corridors. And that is why I, in fact, if you recall in the challenge to NJSE, I stood up on in behalf of the Supreme Court Bar Association to argue, and I told 5 judges bench headed by Justice Kher that if you have courage, wear burqas and walk in the corridor of any court in this country, and you will know what your reputation is.
I remember.
And judges took it in a very nice way, sporting way. Yeah, I was not questioning their, character. I was saying that, look, there is a challenge. You are not willing to address the challenge. And the biggest challenge is this collegium system, where the appointments are really very poor. The court has suffered, the Supreme Court and High Courts have suffered not only in terms of, the character of the judges, but also in terms of their competence, in terms of their knowledge, in terms of their jurisprudential, experience. So, you have therefore now crop of these judges who I would say are not at all competent, most of them. So, there are far and few examples who are very good, exceptionally good, but then by and large, today, the kind of judges you see, you feel that the process has really, and as you know, and I know it better, that bar today consists of some outstanding lawyers who deserve to be recognized. Since last 30-40 years, we have been seeing that they have been neglected, who deserve to be appointed as High Court judges, and some people who really didn't deserve to be appointed have been appointed. Equally, from subordinate judiciary, I have no doubt that there are some outstanding judges, and those judges have been ignored and in elevation to High Courts. So, the whole process by the collegium system has been extraordinarily subjective. It was supposed to be objective. And I remember one sentence in second judge's case, which really should have been the guiding principle, that you must select the best from amongst available.
That's true.
You don't do that. And as a result of that, the quality of jurisprudence, quality of justice delivery, and quality of judges have all suffered.
Okay, so let me just comment on that, if I may. That my personal view is that when judges are moved from the High Court to the Supreme Court, and some of them have been Chief Justices in those High Courts, they have their own experiences of judges who they sit with, right? And they have associations of those judges. So when they come to Supreme Court and become part of the collegium, then each judge wants his particular candidate, so to say, quote unquote, to be elevated to the Supreme Court. So if you have 4 or 5 people part of the collegium, and each judge says, you appoint this person or you appoint this person, then it's a give and take. That we'll agree to one of you, one suggestion you've made, you agree to one suggestion. Now, that's the kind of bargaining that I believe does take place. And in the process, the government also says that we also need our nominees, right? So therefore, this is that kind of bargaining that is taking place, which is far away from merit. That may be one of the reasons for the dilution of competence and quality that you talk about.
I fully agree. What you are saying is that there is a give and take in the collegium system, be it in High Courts or in Supreme Court.
Yes.
And undoubtedly, as a result of that, the best candidates are not chosen.
Exactly.
Secondly, after 2014, we are seeing increasing domination of the executive over the collegium.
Right.
And because each Chief Justice has been weak after 2014, barring, maybe, last was a judge who stood firm was Justice Thakur, Chief Justice Thakur. After that, judges after judges have, I would say, catapulted, and they have really become subservient to the executive on administrative side. And I know of instances where judges, chief justices have been hobnobbing with the executive behind closed doors.
Is that a practice that is prevalent in other parts of the world, in democracies of the world?
Certainly not. Certainly not. I remember, when my father was a High Court judge, Mr. Chimanbhai Patel was then a minister in Gujarat cabinet and was our neighbor. And Chimanbhai Patel had worked under my father in student days. Yet my father refused to meet him and invite him to my sister's wedding, saying that I will not. Now that he is a minister, I am a High Court judge and I must not do that. So, that kind of objectivity was maintained in relationship. I have never seen anybody coming to my house, when my father was a district judge or a High Court judge in his career of 20 years. Never seen anybody questionable.
That used to be the norm at one point.
That was the norm. So, this has changed dramatically. Now
there is law ministers,
home ministers. They are all hobnobbing with judges. We hear, stories which are, horrendous, where chief justices have admitted to friends that yes, home minister and chief justices have sat late in the court because of their interaction going on with the home minister. So, that kind of a thing happening is...
and I also believe, and I may be wrong, because this again is actually some of these rumors have some element of truth to it, that the chief justices also say, let's get clearance from the government first before we recommend a name.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's very most unfortunate.
And as a result, good judges have not been. We know at least there are 3 instances in Gujarat too who have been very seriously discriminated. Justice Jayant Patel, who deserved to come to Supreme Court, and Justice Akhil Qureshi, who deserved to come. We have seen in Justice Muralidhar's case in Delhi High Court. So likewise, there are
Justice... That sends a signal. That
Justice Sodhi, for example, who was from Punjab, Karnataka Chief Justice, top class. So, like that, there have been many people who have been ignored by the collegium, wilting under pressure from the executive.
And the reason is that if the judge wants to give an independent judgment, and when he does, he's either transferred or his chances of coming to the Supreme Court are blocked. So the other judges who know that this is happening would not like to suffer the same fate.
Absolutely, and these judges, for example, Justice Qureshi and Justice Patel, were targeted because they had taken a certain judicial decisions against Mr. Narendra Modi when he was Chief Minister of Gujarat. So they were actually targeted, and collegium was party to that targeting. That is a sad story. What hurts us is that the collegium was part and parcel of that. And even good judges in collegium, I don't want to name them, but so-called good judges in the collegium whom we respect, they fail to, protect these people.
The other problem, and I want your views on it, is this concept of master of the roster. What's your opinion on that?
Master of the roster is the most abused concept that we have devised. And in fact, I appeared for Mr. Shanti Bhushan when he challenged the concept. And one of the arguments that I developed before the court was Justice Bhushan and Justice Sikri, I think. And what we said that let us have again a kind of a group of judges who will decide these matters. Constitution of benches, senior judges, 3 judges, and allocation of work.
Why should it not be decided by anybody? It should be allocated through an algorithm.
Absolutely, it should be computerized. Right. It should be computerized. Right. Today you are saying that politically sensitive matters go only to certain judges. That's Take for example these 2 boys who are involved in this Delhi riot cases, Sarjil Imam and
Umar Khalid.
Now you send them to bench comprising of Justice Arvind Kumar and Justice Anjaria, which should not have gone there.
Why do you say that?
Because their judicial approach is known. They are pro-establishment. So there is no point, picking up this matter and sending.
But if you send it to a judge whose judicial approach is also known, which is
absolutely pro-government.
Not pro-government, it's anti-government, then they will say, look, why should you send it
No,
there?
Nobody says, but...
Therefore, it should be done through an algorithm.
I agree there, but what I am saying is that master of the roster is being abused like this. And it's not started now. I remember when Mr. Karunakaran was convicted in Kerala High Court in one scam, then former Chief Minister. That matter was sent to bench number 8 or 9. I remember I was sitting in court that day by Chief Justice Balakrishnan.
Yes.
So, it happens. These kind of things have been happening for a long time.
The most important matters are not sent to the senior most judges.
Yes. Either you send them to the senior most judges or you send them, as you said, through computerization.
Right.
Because see what has happened is, if so-called concept of master of the roster has allowed the registry also to misuse its position. And with the help of certain lawyers in the Supreme Court and maybe certain outsiders, we hear the stories of certain outsiders being able to influence listing of matters in the Supreme Court. Now that could be avoided, as you rightly said, if you have an algorithm which decides the matters where it will go. Once you have allocated the subject that a particular judge will hear criminal matters, then that matter accordingly as per the algorithm, matter number 1 will go to senior judge A, matter number 2 will go to senior judge 2, like that. So it should be, but this power, I mean, I don't see how this power can be justified in a democracy under the Constitution.
Let me throw some light on something related to this. Now, the master of the roster in the Supreme Court is the Chief Justice of India. The master of the roster in the High Courts is the Chief Justice of that High Court. And nowadays you have this concept of special judges under special statutes, PMLA, matters relating to members of parliament, legislative assembly goes only to those judges. So if you have a special judge who has a particular inclination and he is made the special judge for all MP, MLA matters, then all opposition leaders who seek some relief, I have seen in the past in several high courts, never get it.
Undoubtedly.
Right. So why should there be one judge nominated? Why should there be one judge? And what's the purpose of that?
I fully agree with you that this whole concept, and there is no doubt that there is a lot of wrongdoing happening in sending these matters to certain judges, right. And executive definitely has a say in it. I have no doubt about it.
Of course.
There was a time when I've seen when I was growing up as a young lawyer in Gujarat, when we had late Mr. J.M. Thakur as the Advocate General. He was extraordinarily independent and objective.
That's true.
Would never ever, have even whisper a word to a Chief Justice or to a judge about a matter.
Probably one of the longest serving Advocate Generals.
Longest.
Yes.
You are right. I mean, till he died, right? He came in 1960 from Bombay as Advocate General and he died in 2000 or so. And no government dared to remove him. Right. Every Chief Minister said, please continue, because he was, so well respected and well regarded. But what I am trying to say is that as a law officer, he would stand up and tell the judges that my government's decision is wrong. Set it aside. He would never defend an indefensible cause. Today, the law officers from the highest Attorney General to, the Advocate Generals to, the youngest of the government lawyer, they defend government matter, decisions as if they are gospel truth. Nice. And indefensible decisions are being supported by them openly in court. And that is something which is really shocking, that, you are a representative of the people. You are not a representative of the government. You may have a nomenclature government lawyer, but government, you are actually supposed to uphold the Constitution and defend.
But if these Adhivakta Parishads are the ones who send these lawyers and they become High Court judges, then what happens?
Yeah, today the decisions to appoint law officers has become extremely political. It never was supposed to be political. But it started with the Congress government, because Karnataka, I remember that Chief Minister who used to play badminton.
All governments want to have their own nominees.
Exactly.
There's no doubt about it.
So,
but the extent of it, and the intensity of it, and the very biased nature in which this is done, is a matter of degrees.
It has increased. But it started long back.
Of course.
Now, because Advocate General's office, like in Bombay, Sirvai was Advocate General. I mean, people like them, even in Supreme Court, we had some outstanding, Attorney Generals and Solicitor Generals. As late as till, Mr. Ashok Desai and Soli Sorabji were there.
S.V. Gupte,
and they were very, very objective. Yeah. But since this government, so, it's a very combined effect today. What is happening, the falling standards in the judiciary is because of, firstly, bad appointments, then this so-called, power of the Chief Justice to constitute benches and allocate matters. 3, most important, influence of the executive over the judiciary. In every court, there is an influence. Now, I believe that in many a times, these government lawyers go to chamber of judges and speak to them about matters. So, these
You
are...
had judges during vacations and you have protested.
Yes, absolutely.
You have heard matters out of turn and granted relief overnight.
Absolutely. So, things have gone now beyond repair, Mr. Sibal. And it is really very sad that there is no awakening within the system. No Chief Justice in last 25 years has decided to go into the problems facing, the judiciary and the resultant non-delivery of justice to a common man. Nobody wants to seriously sit and introspect about it. Nobody, has the heart, or the feelings for a common man. Now that is something which is beyond repair. I mean, beyond.
But see, look at it from another standpoint. When you started practice in Supreme Court, say 86 onwards, the nature of litigation was entirely different, right? There was enough time for judges to sit back and decide on constitutional issues which matter. And therefore, they thought about these matters in depth before they. Today, they have no time. You have 60, 70 matters listed in court. Highly controversial constitutional matters have to be decided within a short time span. And there's not enough time for judges to ruminate, think about the consequences of their decisions. And therefore, that itself also is a very dangerous thing for the Supreme Court of India.
Yes and no. Because, over the weekends, judges don't sit and read anything. They are traveling across the country, opening something or the other, cutting ribbons, giving lectures which are completely unwarranted. I mean, they make no sense. What they tell in those public speeches is completely defied in what they do in their judicial approach. So the judges are equally responsible. Take, for example, judgment on Article 370 by a constitution bench. If they had merely followed the statement of the man who piloted Article 370 in the Constituent Assembly, they would not have given this judgment. He explains what that article was about.
You will get trolled badly on this comment.
Yes, so maybe, but they did not even follow that.
Pro-Pakistani.
So if you had to constitutionally interpret, the least that you could do was to do service to the framers of the Constitution.
We did all that.
Yeah, but so what I'm trying to tell you is that judges, yes, they are under pressure. There is no doubt about it. But now they have...
doesn't give enough time for them to think about really in depth about
matters. I don't think,
Bhagwati, Justice Chandrachud, they used to sit back, ask questions, interact.
Absolutely.
Look at matters and the consequences of their judgments. This doesn't happen anymore.
But they were also geniuses. Let's understand. No doubt about it. I mean, you can't compare today's judges to Bhagwati and Chandrachud and Krishna Iyer and even D.A. Desai or all those judges.
Montvalia,
so they were
Justice Sharma.
Yeah. So they were
Verma.
truly, they had the concepts of law so clear, that it was a joy for, and their uptake was amazing uptake. Within seconds they could, pick up a matter. Right. Today you have most judges are, run-of-the-mill judges. They have no concept. Their pickup is very poor. And they do what their interns tell them, those one-page notes that they give them, they decide matters on that.
They know more about the workings behind them.
Yes, and so it is really a sad commentary.
Adding to this, now, as you know, the strength of Supreme Court has now been increased to 38, which includes the Chief Justice of India. So it will become 40, then it will become 45. Well, what happens to the Supreme Court of India?
Well, even today they don't follow their own judgments.
But what happens to the institution? What kind of
the Supreme Court is
message does
Supreme Court is not just the ultimate court, but Supreme Court is a court which lays down the law as per the Constitution of India. Article 141 says law declared by the Supreme Court is the law of the land and is binding on civil and judicial authorities. Now that is the power Supreme Court has to lay down the law, but that law is not being followed within the corridor of the Supreme Court. from one courtroom to the other, they are
Depends on the attitude of the
correct.
judge.
They are completely divergent in their approach, and even as you are seeing now, and I saw it, that you cite a direct decision, a judgment, they will not. They will find some way to get out of it, because they want to, decide matter in a particular way, not as per law. So it's unfortunately with this.
Is it a good omen for the strength of the Supreme Court to increase from 40 to
Look,
50?
let's will it help the institution? The answer is no. So because
And will it reduce litigation? It won't. And
certainly
will it-
not.
Certainly.
Sir, I mean the other day some researcher for Niti Aayog prepared a report, and he said that if I don't know how far it is true, but he said that even if you don't have a single new case filed in India today, it will take 340 years to decide all cases which are pending. I mean, it's a shocking
More and more
statistics.
people are filing more and more cases every day. So therefore, increasing the strength by 4 is not going to answer the question.
No, and unless you introspect. See, biggest problem is that biggest litigant is government. Government goes on every day taking wrong decisions. Take for example PMLA. The kind of powers that Enforcement Directorate wields
Supreme
today.
Court doesn't do anything about
wields today is shocking. I mean, it is nothing but open, I would say, open state terrorism. And the judges are sitting silent spectators, mute spectators. They have no respect for people's rights. They don't want to protect them. So, that's funny. But every way, in every which way, there is no governance left in the country. There is very, very subjective, decision-making process in government at various levels, and citizens are suffering. We all know that their decisions are taken by governmental authorities across the board, from lowest to the highest,
with a political motive in mind.
For political and financial. There is massive corruption in the country. We can't, ignore it.
That's true.
I mean, all these people who sit in power and think that there is no corruption, they are naive. I mean, or they just want to be blind.
The Prime Minister said we'll get rid of corruption in no time.
Look, listen, everybody, you know what is happening in income tax authorities, GST authorities, this ED, all these institutions.
After demonetization, corruption was to vanish.
Nothing it has increased manifold times. I can assure you that I come from Gujarat and I know many people in Gujarat, and they tell me that the proportion of corruption in Gujarat has increased 10 or 20-fold times.
More money in the market, so more money to take.
Yeah. So, people are, there is no doubt that, but nobody wants to address it, frankly. And I'm surprised Prime Minister himself doesn't want to address it. I have no doubt he sees what ED is doing day in and day out. And he knows
it's to their advantage.
So, but they are not, he is not willing. He did say, मैं खाता नहीं और खाने नहीं देता हूँ. But जरूर खाते नहीं है. We agree that he is a man with great integrity. But what about people around him? So, it's, and we all know, we all saw how electoral bonds were being, taken by people under coercion and given money to BJP.
We all know.
BJP. So, it's something.
And no consequences to
Yeah,
that.
and Supreme Court gave a great judgment, great Chief Justice gave a judgment saying that this is all wrong. But when Prashant Bhushan went with examples and said initiate
I
criminal
told
action,
Prashant, I said, don't do it.
he said no, same judge said no. I mean, and then he comes in media all across the world and, talks about democracy and citizens, and I mean, the hypocrisy is so writ large in our institution.
But tell me, why in July 2025 you called it a day?
See, honestly...
Was you upset with the whole system, or were there any other reason?
No, 14th of July, Supreme Court was opening.
Yes.
12th of July, I took the decision. I came back from a golf game and told my wife I'm quitting. And I
But
told
why?
her,
Why?
I'll tell you, I was completely disillusioned with the system. And I,
But there are only a few voices left in the Supreme
I agree,
Court,
but
and we've lost your voice. We wanted it to be
not
there.
as much as you do, but I did fair amount of
No,
pro
you
bono
did
work.
very well.
Pro bono work. And when you would appear for these people who deserve justice, and you would see that they were being denied justice, shamelessly by judges.
That is true.
A complete violation of constitution, its norms, and complete
I have to tell you,
negation.
when I come back home every day from court and we see this kind of thing happening, I despair.
Yeah.
I despair the whole evening, and we don't know what to do.
Yeah.
But it's day after day, day after day.
So I honestly, and I must confess one thing, that I am emotional and sentimental. And I was unable to then
all people with a heart are emotional.
Yeah, take the weight of that. I said that I have done enough. Now somebody else will take over. Fortunately, the system still has giants like you and many other people who help people in more than one way. So that helps. People like Prashant Bhushan, Chandaruday Singh, Meenakshi Arora. These are all outstanding lawyers. Even in Bombay High Court, people like Navroz Sirvai and Mihir Desai, Brinda Grover. All these people,
Amazing.
It's Indira Jai Singh. You have to be proud of. You may not agree with them, but these are many. I mean, I don't remember.
Well, let me formally thank you for the great contribution you have made to the legal profession.
No,
formally thank you.
No, you don't have to thank me. No, I must say, Kapil, that it was a great joy. And the satisfaction was when you could, see, smile on the face of people for whom you got justice.
Exactly.
I remember that day when I got the stay against bulldozer in Delhi, in that locality, I forget that, and Chief Justice Ramna, on my oral request, gave that protection.
Yes.
That was, the things like that, the last of the cases that I argued for 17,000 officers of paramilitary forces.
Yes.
Who are being denied promotion because of deputation of IPS officers under this government from DIG onwards.
Correct.
And a bench of Justice Oak and Justice Bhuyan allowed our. I mean, when I came.
Those are the joys of the profession.
And wherever I travel today, and these officers, are there, they make a point to, come and thank me.
That's true.
And unfortunately, government brought a law to upset that judgment, and but there are thousands of such cases which I could do. The love and affection that people gave me, really I have cherished it in my heart, and I will never forget that. So I mean, I did what I felt was my rightful, I would say, obligation to the nation and to the citizens. Are you
as upset with the functionings of this government and the politics of this country as you are with the judiciary?
I am not just upset, but I can definitely tell you one thing, that we are in a situation from where we will never be able to get out.
Will we ever be a Viksit Bharat?
There is no Viksit Bharat. If you are yourself giving 100 crore plus people free ration, instead of creating jobs for them, instead of standing up for their rights, you are making the country turning them into begging. See, it's all right, these freebies, reveries which you called, when AAP was giving, you were very critical of them as Prime Minister. But today you are all sustaining, before every election, whether in Bengal or Bihar, you give, you distribute, or Maharashtra.
You put them into their account, bank accounts.
Yeah, you distribute money, and judges just see, election commission just sits there and sees, and allows this nonsense to go on. It's nothing but bribery. It is an offense under the electoral laws.
I've said so.
Electoral laws. Yes. But it's happening. Let us understand one thing. This country is in dire situation. Problem is, nobody wants to discuss it. Everybody thinks that this country is doing well because the Prime Minister wants to celebrate every day something.
One of the reasons we do the Dilse program, we want to discuss these issues and ensure that some information which is reliable goes to the public.
No, we see it. Let us understand one thing. This country is not represented by Bombay Stock Exchange or GDP 7%, which is also
it's the 800 million people who earn less than 5,000 rupees.
Almost a billion plus. Why 800 million to a million? The Prime Minister admits in his manifesto in BJP in 2024. Prime Minister says boldly, मैं 81 करोड़ से ज्यादा लोगों को मुफ्त खाना दे रहा हूं. मेरा वादा है कि अगले 5 साल तक देता रहूंगा. Now he doesn't say exactly what is that figure, but people tell me it is over 100 crores. Now if 100 crore people are dependent on free ration, you can imagine what is the situation. We know, we are seeing all around, our own staff, their families, their villages. I travel across the country by car. I drive myself and see, and I stop by at many villages and, talk to people. The situation is extraordinarily bad, and unless we want to really discuss it, today nobody wants to discuss. Look at these business organizations, be it FICCI, CII and all. Every time they will have some kind of a seminar, all kinds of, everybody will praise the government and talk about development. I don't know what they are. I must ask them a question.
Privately, they don't praise the government.
Yeah, maybe, but publicly they don't even,
They dare not praise the government.
Naturally, there is no doubt that there is an atmosphere of fear in the country. Yes. I don't blame them because agencies are targeting best of the people. Agencies are, today CBI, ED, income tax, all authorities are being used to target against people. We all know it. So, it's a sad commentary. But, for a person like Mr. Narendra Modi, who otherwise is hardworking as we see, because he projects that he works some 16 hours a day, and I have no doubt that he does. And he claims that he wants to do something for India. If he wants to go down in posterity as a great Prime Minister, should he not be thinking about it? Should he not be discussing these things openly?
Well, it's 12 years now.
Yeah, there is no discussion. He never has had a press conference. He never allows a question, inconvenient question.
No questions to be asked.
Yeah, no questions to be asked. So that worries me. That why does he not?
Even if he were to have a press conference, the Godi media will not even ask him a question.
Yeah, but why does he not want to do it? If he wants to go down in posterity as a great Prime Minister, why would he? If I was Prime Minister, I would be really...
He does have one-to-one interviews.
Those are all fixed matches.
Fixed matches.
No, but Kapil, the situation is really bad. The job today...
What's the economic situation like according to you?
To
this
my mind...
petrol, diesel prices going up, and what's the...
Look, first and foremost, 200 million plus youth are unemployed today. And we have an advantage of age in the world today. Our youngest population in the 30s is the highest in the world. Right. We are missing the opportunity. This generation without jobs.
We have missed it.
We have missed it. We have wasted it. So that's one aspect. The other is price rise. You see, the inflation, it's all right. We always look at those of us and everybody who counts in this media and in government and in society and all whom we come across. We look at the nation from our prism, from our eyes. We don't realize, the inflation is really eating up, hurting common man beyond imagination. Before him, every rupee counts. Correct. It doesn't matter to us if petrol prices are increased by 7 rupees or diesel prices are increased by 8 rupees a litre. It doesn't matter a damn if we won't even notice it. But for that common man, it means a huge, huge impact on his, because he has to afford...
Limited income, inflation means he can't spend on the things for his children, for education, for health, and there are quacks around who are going to exploit him.
See, one of the best indices is this, that last year Government of India has admitted in Parliament, more than 60 lakh children have left schools halfway through. Why? Because their parents, government schools, yes. These are free education, right. Because these children are needed to help the parents earn money.
Obviously.
And Gujarat was highest. The rate of a student living in Gujarat is 35%.
The social indicators in Gujarat are very dismal actually.
Because most government schools are in one classroom and with one teacher. And this is vibrant Gujarat.
That's vibrant and Viksit Bharat.
Yeah, vibrant Gujarat. So, nobody wants to, unless we have we have some kind of a platform where this is being raised, I think people will have to go to people. Good people will have to, who really can make a difference, who know what is happening, should go to people and explain to them these challenges. So that they in turn can ask the representatives of the people from Sarpanch to the Prime Minister that please do something for us.
We need voices like yours in this country, and I hope that even if you're not at the bar anymore, your voice will be heard. And I'm glad that I've had this conversation with you, because people know now how you practice law, what values you stand for, and what a great contribution you've made to this profession. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Kapil.